Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Box of the Technical Trader at techtrader.com. It's Saturday morning, the 3rd of December. This is the weekend webinar, and it's been another eventful week. The trend has been up, but you can see that the big move came on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, we tagged the declining tops line. It goes all the way back to a year ago. Well, the last early January on the S&P, late December on the NDX. The NDX did not reach up to that line yet, and it's trailing the S&P, and also has a rising wedge versus the S&P in a strong rising channel with a V bottom and a 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth wave is underway, but it might have been truncated and shortened right here. So next week, critical. We either blow through it, get up to 41.76, and then get to 4,300 to test this double triple top, or they back them off, retest 3,900. Below that is where you start to get dicey. 38.20, 3,700, and 36, 40, 50. We shall see. The IWM, which is the tracking stock ETF for the Russell 2000, also got up to its declining tops line. Lateral price resistance as well. That's going to have to get through 190 to really make a difference. And if it does, you might see 200, 201, even as high as 209. That would be definitive breakout. The transportation index also very similar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, and then a run right back up to the declining tops line there, and pull back both times. What's got to happen on this one is through 14.8, basically 14,800 gets you 15.3, 15.6, something like that. But they could all fail in this range at the declining tops line and come down and do some retesting. So we're going to have to see what next week brings. The underlying technicals. Well, where is the oscillator in all of this? Well, we got up, as you know, a month ago to plus 238, the highest level we've seen in a couple of years. And then they came down to under the zero line to minus 53 and bounced around. We closed at 63.45 plus on Friday. Obviously, the market's going to have to come down in a much deeper retrace to get to more oversold condition. I would say somewhat neutral to slightly positive on the oscillator. Percentage of stocks above their 40 remains very high. We talked about this the last week, 2 weeks ago. That's when you get up in that range, I could stay up there for a while, but eventually that does roll over. As soon as you see a reading below 65, it could mean we're coming down for the market. So a little tenuous. Certainly, the market is stretched a bit, but not extremely overbought. The VIX, well, that hasn't done much, and it's kind of been belying the fact. Take a look at this. We're now at a level where we've had market apathy, basically. This is where you get bottoms up here. This is where you have tops. So at any moment, this could either come down into that 15, 18 range to take out this double bottom and get closer to there, 16.5, or start to move back up with the market rolling over. So we're very tentative in here. I can see why the market might pull back and do some retesting of lower levels and fortify the patterns. For now, though, we shall see where we go next week. That's for sure. Individually, of course, we have many, many stocks that do well. But before we get to that, let's look at the NASDAQ generals. Apple in a wedge. Is it a wedging base or is it a big bear wedge? If and only if we get above 158, what I say we've broken back to the upside. Any move below Wednesday's low 140 probably tests 135, maybe 129, and that would be ugly for the market. Amazon also wedging, smaller. You can see it's in a downtrend. We've had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline. Now this, is it a basing pattern? Well, Amazon's only going to break out if it takes out 106. A long way from that. Let's start by taking out last week's high at 97.25 and see if we can get up to 104, 106 for starters. A breakdown here, and you're headed towards 84, 85. Google looks better. V bottom with a platform. If you're in Google, you want to put a stop right there. That would be under 94. A move above that high, 105, really would trigger a bigger move up towards 108, 110, 11 range, at least for starters on Google. Up next is Netflix, which has been tremendous. After getting crushed with 704 down to 164, they based out for 3 months, broke out there, and platform for another 2-3 months, broke out there. Retested, bounced, backed off in falling wedge, and then broke out last week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Netflix went from 275 to 320. It's a big move for Netflix. It's the highest level of Netflix since the gap down, and we're just about filled that gap. That would get you up to 333, I think it is. Yep. So we got about 13 more points before we fill that gap on Netflix. How about Meta? This has really turned around too, at least temporarily. The bottom, platform, and breakout. Closing above the 50. That's the first time it's done that since way back here. Well, this was just for 1 day, but really, in essence, this has been below the 50 since early May. So maybe a turnaround for Meta or formerly Facebook. NVIDIA has been very strong, and one of the strongest NASDAQ 100 stocks having gone from a reversal bottom low, 108, to Thursday's high, 172. Big move for that stock. And you're up about 65% that quickly in about 6-7 weeks. But the decline top line broken after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline, and now breakout. You got the pullback retest, and now we popped out. There's some resistance right there at about 169.70, and then the next target zone would be around 189.90. That's one of the better looking ones. Microsoft, certainly, I love this chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, a bounce, double top, and make a lower low, pop up and form a little pattern of kind of a rectangular flag, and break out. Retested Friday morning and bounce. That was up a small fraction after reversing, but I like that look overall. I'm looking for Microsoft to get up towards test of about 265 and then 272 potentially. That would possibly lead the way if that occurs. And there's a fan formation here. If you draw a line off the tops, you break through the fan, you usually get a big move. And finally, Tesla, coming off of also a big multiple wave decline to the bottom of the channel, and then a run up. But Tesla has got to take out 201 and make a big, more substantial move. The target then is 224.5 and 236.7. For now, though, careful because it might be at the declining top line and it could fail there. Not the strongest stock on the board, that's for sure. Let's go to some of the ETFs we follow closely. The SMH came off the low big time in October, big reversal day, and engulfing reversal day for 167-ish. Then a couple of weeks was 229. Big move. Maybe a month, excuse me. And then it's sitting here consolidating, and you don't want it below 211.12. 212.75 actually is support. A move above 227.8 could get you 245.50. This is a good looking chart right now. And maybe leading the way. Well, what about the biotechs? Well, LABU still in a basing pattern, excuse me. You can see the 2-month consolidation in here. 2.5 month, little base. Now, when the other indices came down, the other ETFs came down during the bear market pullback of October, November. This one held multiple lows near 7. Actually, I'm sorry, near 6. Actually reached 595, 596. But it's going to take a move above 840, 42 to this really get going. And in the XBI, we have the same kind of pattern, even a little bit stronger. And it looks like it's coming through the declining top line already. Going to take out the prior 86.50 high. You do that, you're probably headed to 90, 94.5 range. So there's a chance that with all of this developing that semiconductors and biotech could lead the way, but I'm unhappy with financials. Look at this. No, not terrible. I was looking at the FAZ, I guess. Yeah. This one reversed and it's been trending and it's near this high. And you got a double top up here near 92. It's currently 85 and we had a down day Thursday and Friday. You want to stop this one under 77 3/4. I wouldn't like that. But a move currently that gets through 95 could get you into the 101, 2, 3 range or more. So financials looks pretty strong. Biotechs definitely. And the SMH also trending, but needs to break out above resistance. You get all three of these running through there, we could have a big blow off. Just be careful early next week about the possibilities of a retest of lower levels. For now, though, these are undeniable trends. But are they up to resistance and then will they fail? We're going to find out pretty soon. Other ETFs that we follow closely include are the oil, gas, and gold and silver. Let's start with gold, the GDX. Look, I've been talking about the fact that we've had a reversal in these metals. Pop, pullback, platform, and breakout. I think you're headed, GDX is headed to 33, 33.5 range. GDXJ, the junior gold, same, breakout, headed to 42 perhaps. The ones we like to trade are Nugget, which has resistance at 41-ish. Might see higher levels at 44, even as high as 50, 51. Let's start with 44 and 50 as targets. This looks great. Same with JNUG. And this is how the birds are breaking out above the base. Now we've had the long-term declining pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. Inverse head and shoulder breakout. And we got new trends up. 46 is your next target on the JNUG. So we're in an upward trend and things in reverse. The moving averages have turned around on all of these ETFs. And I'll talk to you about some of those individual gold stocks when we get to the long list. In the oil sector, the USO, we've got a funky pattern in my mind. I'm not sure that this isn't a downward trend and that we're going to continue downward. There's a lot of pressure to keep oil up. I'm not sure how long that lasts. The bottom line is a lot of oils are way extended and are overbought, and you'll see today that I haven't mentioned too many of them, despite the fact that they're still bullish. I just want to avoid them. I think it's a bad play. I may be wrong. Here's the USO, UCO, and of course the Gush, which is a double bull. A little precarious in here. See it? We had an uptrend. Came down and bounced through, kissed back, and now we're back down. If you see Gush under 167, you better avoid it or go short. Because I think your next target is 149.50 and maybe even 138.40. We'll see. And on the natural gas side, KOLD is pushing up, broken out of its downtrend. It's right at or near its 50. If you look at Boyle, it rolled over hard on big volume. It's down there some key support. I got a feeling you're going to see possibly a collapse in that gas. If that happens, you're looking back down in the high 20s at least for starters on Boyle. This stock's come down from 140. Amazing. All right, so that's oil, gas, gold, and silver. Silver, the AGQ, I didn't show you, but same thing. Breakout, wedge, explosive move. Next target is probably 33 in that range. And then 36. So these are your targets going forward for AGQ. Let's look at some longs. We got a lot of longs today. I've cut out about 40 of them, and there is still a long list. Alphabetically, as always, ABCL has pulled back down after reaching my targets on a swing. It's back in a buying territory, I believe. Stop would be under 11.25.5. The upside targets are 14.5 and 17.5. The EHR continues strong. Friday was a pullback day. but still a great chart. I'm looking for 30 and 34.5. AG, the junior silver stock, should get over 980. I would look for 11 and 13. We showed you AGQ a few minutes ago. AKRO, biotechs in general, unbelievable. Certain of them, like these, breakaway gap wedge. This was a tech trader swing long, and then look at it. It's still going. I'm not going to be surprised to see this in the 57.8 range, maybe even a takeover. AMLX is another breakaway gap, run up, another pop, flag, wedge, continuing to channel up, targeting 48. AOUT broke out of a base on Friday. This looks like a potentially good swing. It pulled back no less. The swing targets at 12 and 14. APA, well, look, this is a bullish pattern. And until it breaks, it could go higher. I'm just questioning whether we can get up to 51. If we do, 58 and 65.70 might be doable, but I would be really careful and stop under 43. Apps popped, big breakaway move with big volume and a surge and a pullback, retesting and moving back up again. Up the last 4 days in a row and 7 out of 8. Looks like a stock is going to punch up through 20, 20 and a half, and run to 25 or better. ARRY long-term tech trader swing, inverse head and shoulder breakaway, ran to the target and pulled back to test the neckline, and move right back up again from a little mini inverse head and shoulder with a breakaway gap. Popped the resistance and pulled back on Friday. Big bullish engulfing bar that tells me it's going to take out 23.50, reach 27, and maybe even in the low to mid 30s. ATAT, a recent IPL. Let's look at it on an hourly. Very choppy, but it exploded early in the week. Excuse me, late in the week. It went vertical. Now it's been up for 7 days in a row, having gone from 11 to nearly 19. Does it have momentum for more? Of course, but it's a tough read because it's a new chart. Actinium. Surge, coil, explode, three-wave corrected pullback to test the moving average, and then a pop platform pop on Friday, up 64 cents or 6%, targeting 13, 15, and 19 for this one. As long as it holds that line, you might see something up there. In the gold sector, AU is one of my favorites. Big move in flag. Current target 21, 21 and a quarter, and 23. AVDL 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a big pullback, and then a breakout. Wedge, pop. It just looks to me like this is headed to 12, 14, 15, etc. AXSM, pop wedge. As long as it holds 68, I'm good. And if it takes out 80, you might see 90 and 100, 105. Great chart. Band. Software stocks in general have the big ones are moving. This has had a massive decline from 200 down to under 10. Breakaway gap, wedge, and pop out. You have double resistance at top 24, 38, 35, 35, 38. To that, the target's 29. And then 35. BEAT exploded in September, literally from 1 to 6.5. Came down and it formed a wedge and broke out. Retested, popped on Friday. If this gets through 5, 5.15, you're probably going to see 7, 8, 9. Stay tuned. Keep that in mind. Really, Chinese stocks phenomenal. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up and a breakout. Some resistance right there. And I should test 21. When we get through that, you might see 26.7. Bluebird, a tech trader swing, popped out, ran up to the target, pulled back in a three-wave corrective, tested the neckline breakout, ran up to resistance, backed off again, ran up to resistance, backed off again, this time through. I'm looking for 9 1/4, I'm looking for 12. BTU, after a big run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we went into a prolonged consolidation, but a bullish one. And right now it's pressing the highs. Get this one over 33 and it's off to the races. 40, and 50 are targets. I'm not kidding. CABA, look at that thing. A really big move from 65 cents to $5. I mean, any way you look at it, a massive move, and it doesn't look done, does it? Targeting 7-8. CECO popped out and pulled back. I put a swing on it when it broke through the triple top, but it backed off. As long as it holds 1170, I'm fine. Friday's low is 1173. Now we got to get going. I have a target near 1450. CGC, nice action this week. Look at Friday, biggest volume we've seen in 5 weeks. 36 million shares, popped at another 8%. The overall pattern looks like a really beautiful base pattern that's developed after a big decline. A lot of room to run. Immediate targets 5.5 and 6 3/4. CPRX, beautiful biotech stock. A nice uptrend and then accelerating. Came down and bounced, broke out, flagged, wedged again. It just looks like 18.5 gets through. They got 20 and 23 as targets. CROX, big uptrend, big downtrend, reversed platform that broke out. Now, a new rising channel appears to be underway with a target of 116. Chinese stocks obviously had a big move. CWEB, KWEB, Yin, all of these stocks are doing this. If you look at CWEB, it's at the declining tops line, but it does have room to run. And I wouldn't be shocked to see this get up in the 60, 64 range. DADA, another Chinese stock, broke out, retested the moving averages, they crossed over, and then boom, up 7 days in a row. The targets are 7 3/4 and 9.5. DGII, been in a major uptrend since April, when it traded at under 19, 18.5. They made it to 40, nearly 44. So 150% type move, and it doesn't look done yet. The targets are mid-range at 46, upper range at 53. DXCM, this is a really good company, and after coming down hard, based out, broke out, retested, and then exploded with a breakaway move. It's been consolidating for a month, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it started to move again, and it's right at resistance. My take is that we test soon 135. EDAP, a wonderful chart. This is a 16-year high, folks. And although it's at the top of the channel, momentum could carry this at 12 or 13. EDU, Chinese educational stock, looks like it broke out Friday. Goes near the high end of the range, this could run. Mid-30s next target. In the gold sector, junior gold, EGO or Eldorado Gold broke out of a base. It's been stair-stepping up near resistance. If we get to 865, you're looking at a $10.5 stock up here. EHTH came down, bounced, retested, made a higher low, and then broke out. We put a swing on it. Friday was an excellent follow-through day, up 22%. Line was solid at 2.9 million. There is some resistance at 5 3/4. Your first target, next target is 7. Every week I show you ELF, and it's pretty amazing. 20, 57 3/4, nearly tripling in about 6 months. It doesn't look done. All-time highs here, folks. EPOW, slow but steady run up near resistance. If it gets to 4.5, it's going to 6, 6.5, and maybe 8. Those are my targets. And EPOW, this is a personal position. I'm pretty enthused about it. ESPR, well, I had a nice uptrend. Came down through it, but held price support and bounced. We've got to get this one back above 7.5 through there to get the trend reestablished. Careful. FCX, put a swing on it when it popped. Made a bit of a run, pulled back a wedge, and then broke out again, closing at the highest level since early June, and your target now is 43.5. FDMT, monster explosive type move out of a base pattern. This biotech has been sitting up here and consolidating for a bit. I would think that angle is too hard to maintain, but I do like the platform, and if it gets out over 25, 30.32 is the target. 5VN inverse head and shoulders, a nice engulfing bearish bullish bar on Friday. I think your target is 74.5 for a gap, or 75 for a gap fill, and then 82.83. FRPT, long downtrend, but an inverse type head and shoulders, a breakout on a platform, and looks to me like it's trending upward. Next target 72. For solar, unreal, breakaway gap flag, and that's where we noted it, around 92, and the stock has gone vertical to 170, wasn't it? 173 and change. You get through that, you're looking at 185, 190. Food 2 in the Chinese sector, beautiful base pattern after a big decline, breaks out and keeps running. Next target is 75. GDS, another stock in that, I believe in that realm. Popped, pulled back and tested, it popped again. It looks like the stock closed right at resistance, and he moved here, and the stock could be 23. Geo, a prison management firm, classed as a REIT. I'm not sure why exactly, but here's the bottom line. Breakaway move, broke out here. We put a swing on it. It's run all the way up to 1244. My target now is 15. Barrick, one of the gold stocks I like, inverse head and shoulder, right-handed extended V, but a breakout. I got a target at 19.5, 3/4, and then 21. GRWG in the purveyor to the growing equipment for the marijuana group. What a nice surge here, breakaway through the moving averages, a little flag, and then a pop. My target now is 10.5 and 12. Hudson, been on my list all year. You can see why, and it continues, breaking out above the triple top. I'm looking for 14. Harmonic lightweight, now called harmonic. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave underway, targeting 18. Resistance, obviously there, about 15, 3/4. IMVT, based out, exploded out, wedged, and has been stair-stepping its way higher. Target 17. IMBX, tech trader swing from there, made it up to my target zone and backed off, way off. But then it came up again hard, consolidating for 2 months now. This should get up to 34.5. We're going to 45. My tick. INMD popped out a little wedge. This is a tech trader longer term swing. But you can see that if it gets up through the 39.40 zone, we're looking at 43 and 48. ISCE quite choppy, but breakaway gap, a big run and fib retracement. And then another big run and a pullback, a hard one. And then a breakaway gap and a back up to the high. Target 28. JK Solar, long declining tops line, V bottom right-handed extension. There. Here's your breakout. Targeting 58 and 63. JNUG, we talked about earlier, looking much better along with Nugget. KNSA in the junior biotech sector has gone from 7.5 to 17 and at resistance up here, but a move through that level, and we're looking at 22, 24. LABU, we mentioned earlier, we need this through 840, 42. LI, tech trader swing, popped out. Broke out, breakaway gap, consolidated inside day on Thursday. Again, engulfing bullish bar on Friday. Love this chart, 25.5 and 28.5 for targets. LPG, oil and gas stock with a new all-time high. Well, that is not true. A new multi-year high of 8 years. Breaks out, retests, and moves up, 23, 25 targets. LBTX, well, with folks, when this one popped, you may remember, it formed a wedge. I put a tech trader swing on it. It quickly got stopped when it dropped below 4.25 and moved all the way down to 330. But look at the comeback. Over the last 2 months, 330 to 750. Huge move, particularly Thursday, Friday when it exploded. Targeting now 8.25, and 10. MGNX tech trader swing broke out, moved up to the target, pulled back, and broke out again. Now it's consolidating. But I'm targeting 7.5, 9, and 10.5. MLCO in the gaming group, what a nice move. Took out a double top, did it with big volume. Now it looks like it might be headed to 11, 3/4, 12. MODN in a beautiful rising channel since May, taking it from 21 to 40. At this point, it looks like 43.4 and 48.9 might be targets. Great rising channel chart. MRTX, 4-month decline, popped out, wedged, broke out, wedging again. Really looks good. I wouldn't be shocked to see this go to 135, maybe even a takeout. Newmont Mining is another major miner that's come all the way down from 85 into the high 30s, but the pop, flag, and breakout tells me this goes higher. We get through here, looking for 58 and 63. NEO in the Chinese automotive sector, pop inside a pop, very similar to Lee, of course. Now I'm looking for a move that takes it to 14.75, 15, and 16.5, 17. NEO is another one in that group that is emerging. Wanted to show it to you, but it's not through the decline top line yet. I'd rather go with the others, but this looks pretty intriguing, targeting 5.75. Nutanix, one of my favorites, had a big update, then pulled back on Friday morning and reversed, finishing there flat, but still a beautiful rising channel, and my target's 34. NUE, you may remember we put out a swing on it, I think it was here, at about 117.18, and went up to 138, and then fell back down and had a three-wave corrected falling wedge. Broke out and finally ran to 145, and retested, and now is up to a new high of 154. I think this now goes into the 170s and 80s. OM with a big pop, and this is a tech trader swing. Pop, flagged again, and popped again. If you get this one through 22.40, my target is 26.7. Oxy, well, similar to APA, is consolidating. It could be a bull wedge. It could be a double top. Right now, there's no reason to assume it's going to collapse, but I'm skeptical on oil right now. Careful. EHTH, one of the members of the software group, broke out Friday with a breakaway gap on volume. Wanted you to see that. My targets are 15.5 and 17. Puma is a tech trader swing, beautiful inverse head and shoulders. Broke out here. We put a swing on it. Its stock made it all the way up to the last couple day week 479. You can see it wedging in here. We break out above that. I'm looking at 6.5. PCBX, big base, big breakaway gap, strong surge, and now a flag. Wow, this thing could blow. We'll see. Mid-50s target. PSTB, another biotech with a beautiful long-term decline, double bottom base, breakaway gap, wedge, and pop. I'm raising my target to near 13. Perion, beautiful chart. Breakout, highest level in a year. New 52-week high on Friday, targeting 33. Impinge, pulled back the last couple days. They're reaching all the way up to, this is the tech trader swing. Got up to 129. Got back about 10 points or so. And actually at 13 points, got down to 116. But I'm still looking for higher levels, 145 and 170. PRPL, nice base breakout and retest. Popped again. Negative day on Friday, but I'm looking for 6 and 8. PRVB, another biotech with base, breakaway gap, wedge, pop. Very volatile in here, but it looks like it wants to go higher, $11 target. RELL, what a chart. It's gone from 3.5 to 27. It doesn't look done yet. Long-term, new all-time highs. Ring, one of the members of the software groups that popped out, pulled back, wedged, and popped again. So I put a swing on it. Kind of backed off a little on Friday. I'm still thinking the stock is going to make it to 40, 42. We get through that, 46. Roivant, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move, and Friday was a breakout day. Beautiful base. 5-way move, however, is near resistance, so it could back off, but if it gets through, $8 or $9. CABA has a nice run and pulled back. Has work to do. 100% stop on the 29.5. Targets 39, 45, and 50. Feed popped on Friday. I think it's getting ready for a big move. Large 1-year inverse head and shoulders. Get this one through 12, 12.5. They can go vertical. Targets are 14.5, 15, 18, and low to mid 20s. Silk. This is another software stock that broke out. Looks higher to me. Targeting mid 60s. SLV is another ETF for silver. You see the base, the breakout, the wedge, and the pop. targeting 22 and 24. SMAR, long declining channel, another software stock that popped and broke out last week. Up 3 days in a row, taking it from 28 to 38. And at resistance here. Next target, however, is 41 and 45. PWR, remember that strong solar group, broke out above the moving average, or crossing over the flagging engulfing bullish day Friday. Target 28, 34. STIM, beautiful base breakout. The bottom of right hand extension, then a surge from 2.5 to nearly 7. It's at resistance. Next target, however, is $9 if it does go. Keep an eye on this one. It's got momentum. Scorpio tankers, big move from January when it was trading at 11 all the way up to 54 recently, and the stock doesn't look done yet, targeting 60. Taboola, after it exploded and pulled back, I gave you a swing on it. It held support and bounced. You need to get it to 3 1/4, targeting 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 5. TERN near resistance after a nice pop and flag. It retested twice here. If it gets through 7 3/4, I'm looking for 10.5 3/4. Technoglass coming out of a base, pulled back and retested, and then spiked all week from a low of 26.5 to 32 35. Target 35. To retest these up here. DGTX, big downtrend, ran up and pulled back and retested, spiked. This pullback, which is held near these highs in here, is key support now at 7.5. If we see next week popping through 9, I think you'll take 9 3/4 out and run up to 11 and maybe 14. TH, beautiful rising channel with a 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th wave could be underway, but it's got to get through the highs. And once you get through 15 3/4, I'm looking for 20. TIGR, another member of the Chinese group that's starting to surge, has gone from 313 to 5.5, where there's resistance. If it does get through here, your next target is near 7. TMDX with a beautiful rising channel just broke out of a coil, big day Friday, up 324, 5%, targeting 75 and 85. Another Chinese stock with Momo broke out of a pattern after a big downtrend, wedged, exploded to the resistance. Next target, 9.5. Tops with a major spike up move, exploded from 2 in 2 days to 634. Got to resistance and backed off to 434. We'll see if it does anything next week. Stop under 345. Targeting 6.5 and 8. Oil and gas stock TRMD. I've been showing you this for almost 6 months. What a beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and consolidating. Next target could be 40 if the oil group continues. Unity Software, a big drop from 200 down to 20, 90% loss. Big breakaway gap to the upside and a wedge. Falling wedge to the rising and crossing over moving averages, and then look at that surge. 31.5, 42 1/4. Your next target, 48. UMC and the semiconductor group coming through the declining top line and wedging or flagging in here. Looks intriguing. Watch this one if you get over 7 3/4. You might see 8.5 and 9.5. Univar. After a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline, it turned around, broke out, retested, and surged above the recent highs. This is a new all-time high for Univar. I don't know how far it can go, but momentum is strong. Careful though, extend it. VLN, nice base, maybe coming out of it. This semiconductor stock has room to run $7, 7.5 target. VRNA, exploded, pulled back, broke out. Flagged, popped. This looks like a good tech trader swing for 17, 21, and 25. VRT, inverse head and shoulder breakout and pull back to test the moving averages and trend line. That would be right here. This looks like a stock that wants to be 19 at some point. Stay tuned. XPEV, like Neo and Lee, big moves on Wednesday and Friday. Looking for an extension to get this one up to about 17, eventually low 20s. YEXT breaks out of a base on Thursday, follows through Friday. This software stock is headed, I think, for 7.5 and 8.5. Chinese directional, Chinese long ETF yen, you can see for yourself. Breakout Friday was particularly impressive, but it did get up to resistance. Not so sure about how much more the Chinese can go, but very strong chart. YMM Full Truck Alliance, beautiful base, but it's up against multiple tops here. If it breaks out, you're looking at 13 as a potential target. And ZIXI, well, I gave you this one back here in the 6s, then in the 8s. It's finally made it up to 14.55 before pulling back, but that's a bull wedge. We get through that zone, we're looking at 17, 19, and 21. It's in on the long side. Now let's look at some bucks and shorts. There aren't too many. Alphabetically, ALGN remains in a downtrend. You know, it's still bearish until it turns around, which it hasn't done. So you have to consider downside targets 171 and then all the way down to 150. AVNT looks like it might be forming an inverse head and shoulders, and it's on the verge of breaking back out. So be careful with this one. It's a quick stop over 36. If it fails here, you're pulling back down to 31 and 28. AYX still in a very bearish trend and has been for 2 years now, from 180 down to the mid 40s. It doesn't look done yet, does it? Though it did pop last week, any move down could fall back into the mid 30s. BILL, well, might be a little V bottom of the platform, but it hasn't broken out yet. And until it does, we're still looking at either retest of the lows or lower than that. You can stop this one over 133. CDNA remains in a downtrend near the lows, and it's been all the way down from 105.6 into 12 range. I don't know how far they can take this down, but it's awfully ugly. Carvana, well, one of my better picks this year on the short side, and quite frankly, folks, struggling even to make a move at all. Until it takes out at least the declining tops line above, just for starters, 9, I'm not going to be interested in this stock, and it could very well even make lower lows near 5. ESTC, a long downtrend, tried to balance and pull back. You can see how ugly it looks. Any move under 49.50, you can see something in the low 40s. Garmin's trying to break out, so we'll put a stop on it over Friday's high of 95. If we don't get it and it rolls over and takes out 89, we could see something back around low 80s. MDB, long-term downtrend, doesn't look like much to me either. Double bottom around 137 if broken, could lead to another 20 points down. NET remains in a negative trend, and it has been all year. Not much hope for that one right now. Overstock, well, maybe it pops above here, and we can see multiple weeks, like 10 weeks, 12 weeks of resistance at 27.25. We get through that, you can cover it. Robert Half, since I gave you a tech trader swing short at 99, hit it down on a spike to 65. If you recall, I said cover, rally back to 81. It's consolidating. It might be a V bottom with a platform over 84 you're recovering. Snow. Well, not one of the better software stocks. Until I see this one above 168, I'd stay short. Shutterstock, very similar to a lot of stocks we're looking at, with a pattern that could be a base or could be a big bear wedge. See it? If it pops out, you cover over 56. But the next target is 44 and then 38. TEAM came down hard, trying to bounce in here. It was up a small fraction Friday. I just, don't see it right now. Tandem, another bear flag. And this one's gotten crushed. 155 down to 33. That's the best it can do. Now, obviously a move above here could break it out. Maybe you may get a squeeze on it, so you'll cover. TREX continues to look lower, but any move above 52 is a cover. DTEC, it might be moving here. Had a big drop. You can cover this one over 50. Upwork, pretty negative, folks. Don't like the look of this. If this should break 11, you're probably looking at 9. World acceptance has been down from 265 down into the 60s. It doesn't look very good, does it? I would target 60 as your next target on the downside. A cover over 84.5. Zoom trying to base out here, but it could be a bear flag. Boy, we've got a lot of competition, folks. It's pretty amazing to me. And finally, Zscaler, you can see the pop and the pullback, but not seeing anything more than negativity. And that's it for this weekend, folks. Review these and be careful and be prepared for next week. This is Harry Boxer, wishing you a wonderful rest of your weekend. Bye, everybody.